Hello and welcome to BISP Solutions. Today we will see equity pickup method. Now, what is equity pickup? Basically, firstly we will see that. So what happened is equity pickup is a method for re-evaluating the investments owned by holding company, allowing the parent to realize the changes in equity from period to period. What happened is when one company records the investment in another company using the method as the equity method, then the cost of investment at the time of acquisition is adjusted. So basically this equity pickup method is to adjust the cost of investment made at the time of acquisition, and this cost of investment is adjusted periodically. It is adjusted periodically to reflect the holding company ownership share of the profit and loss recorded by the other company. And this periodic adjustment is often referred to as equity pickup. And this equity pickup feature provides the equity pickup for holding companies. We have some prerequisites of this particular method. So let's see that. So firstly, the first prerequisite of this particular method is that all legal companies and all the parent entities in the entity dimension must be specified as intercompany in the entity dimension and exist as the zero level entities in the intercompany dimension. That is, all the entity must be specified as the intercompany entities, and it should be at the zero level entities. Then second, there should be only one holding method company under each parent entity. Now, what do we mean by this? We mean that in a hierarchy, only one entity should be considered as holding company when we perform this equity pickup. We will be seeing this case under the step consolidation method, how we are choosing one entity as the holding company. Then the entity currency of the holding company and the parent entity should be same. Now we often compare this equity pickup method with the equity consolidation method. So there is a difference between the two. So what difference it has? Firstly, equity pickup is applied to the investment made and recorded by one legal company in the legal company records. And then equity consolidation method is used when a legal company aggregates the data from the company in which it has direct or indirect investments or ownership, you can say. And the principle behind the equity pickup and the equity consolidation method is essentially same, but only difference is it is used under different circumstances. Like it is legal company results versus consolidated results. Equity pickup is for the holding company, we can say, and equity consolidation method is for the equity for the particular equity method, or for the subsidiary, you can say subsidiary entity. So let's see how this equity method works. So we have a few configurations to be made for this equity pickup in the application. So let's go to the application and let's check what all we need to enable to have this option of equity pickup. So we'll first go to applications, then we will go to configurations. This is a prerequisite again. We will go to enable features. So we have the configuration of our application, right? So we need to have some options tick for having the equity pickup method. So first we need to tick this intercompany elimination. This has already been ticked as yes. Okay. Second, this ownership management should be ticked as yes. It is already done. Then equity pickup should also be enabled as yes. We can enable these options at the time of creating the application also, and while only this equity pickup method option we can enable after the creating the application also. Okay, so while configuring the application, we need to keep in this mind that all these particular features should be enabled for equity pickup. Let's close this. Now let's go to consolidation again. Then we have this under consolidation process, we have this equity pickup. Let's check whether it is set as yes or not. So we need to check this also. Equity pickup sequence and calculation is selected as yes. If it is no, then we need to set it to yes. Then we have certain configurable consolidation rules which we need to deploy it. So we will go to consolidated. Then we will go to configurable consolidation. So we have here a set of rules for equity pickup. We have 4 rules. This is EPU prepare source data. We will deploy all these rules. Right now it is not deployed, so we will deploy it. EPU consolidate EPU source data, EPU reverse holding company data, EPU consolidate EPU source data in direct grouping. And then we will select all these and then deploy it. So our rules have been deployed. So these were the configuration part of our application. Now let's go to the use case. So this is my use case. We will be doing 2 cases. One, the simple direct ownership method, and second is the step consolidation that we have. So let's do the simple ownership method. So we have the case 1. We have 3 entities, A, B and C, but I have taken it as in my entity as East 101, East 102 and 103. Let me change. East 102 and East 103. So these are my 3 entities, and these entities have been marked as intercompany. Okay, so it has cash of 5,000, 3,000 and 2,000, capital 3,000, 2,000 and 1,500 respectively, and the net profit, or we can say there is current retained earnings of 2,000, 10,000 and 500. Okay, so that tallies my balance sheet. Assets is equals to liabilities. Now this E101 holds 80% shares in E102, and E101 also holds 60% share in E103. So this is a scenario. So what we will do, we will input the figures. I have already created the smart view. My smart view is linked also. So we will input the figures in this particular input sheet, and then check for the results. So I have taken the POV as consolidation as entity input for all the 3. East 101, 102 and 103 is the entity. Product is no product. Then gap, multi-gap is local gap for all the 3 entities. Then scenario I have taken as actual. Data source is data input. Intercompany is no intercompany. Then currency is entity currency. Then view is periodic. Then financial year is year is financial year 15, and then period is January. Then we have movement over here. We have accounts, cash receipt 12, common stock and retained earnings, and then respective movement for the accounts, changes in cash, changes due to issue of stock, and changes in net income. So we will here input the figures. So cash is 5,000, 3,000 and 2,000. 5,000, 3,000 and 2,000, and then common stock is 3, 2 and 1,500. So this is 3, 2,000 and 1,500. Now the retained earnings we have is of 2,000, 1,000 and 500. 2,000, 1,000 and 500. So we will submit this data. So my data got submitted. Now we will define the ownership structure. So I have this ownership structure. We'll go to consolidation, and then my entity is East 101, 102 and 103. So by East 101 is the holding. So it has the ownership percentage as 100. East 102 is subsidiary and East 101 is having 80% investment. So it is already defined. And then East 103 is having 60% ownership. So it is 60% and it is defined as subsidiary. Now we will save the changes. Data saved successfully. Now we will recompute the ownership. Recomputation is successful. Now we will run the consolidation rule. Consolidate. So we will consolidate for East 101. We will not do the consolidation at the console level. Okay, Jan, actual 15, rest of the POVs are same, and then we will click on launch. Let's check at the jobs whether consolidation has been run or not. Application, jobs is in process. So let's refresh it. So consolidation has been completed. Let's go to the output sheet to check. So this is my output sheet. I've already defined the POVs. Now what I have defined extra accounts that I have added is investment in equity companies, investment in equity companies, equity pickup, investment in equity companies, income, and investment in equity companies. Rest all is same. So now here I've defined the top level POVs for the dimensions. Now here I will select East 101. The entity is wrong here. And then let's refresh it. So let's check for the result. Our cash was 5,000. It will not get added up because we have not run the consolidation at the console entity. So my cash was 5,000 at entity East 101. So I'm getting the result 5,000. Then my common stock was 3,000. So I'm getting the result as 3,000. And my return earnings is 2,000. So I'm getting the result as 2,000. Okay. It will not get added up because I have not run the consolidation at console entity. Now we are getting the figure at equity pickup as 3,600. Let's see how we are getting this figure. And then this 5,600, how we are getting this figure. So we have, as we have seen that, we have 80% investment in East 102 and 60% investment in East 103. So we will take this total of the liability side and we will calculate the 80%. So 80% of 3,000 is 2,400. Similarly, 60% of 2,000 is 1,200. And that comes to, this total comes to 3,600. So this is the amount which we are getting in the equity pickup. Where is my sheet? This amount. And so this is how the equity pickup amount is calculated. Now we are getting 5,600 in the retained earnings current. So this 3,600 we have total. 3,600 we have from the respective calculations from the subsidiaries. Now we have a 2,000 we have of this profit we have of East 101 itself. So that makes it as 3,600 plus this 3,600 plus this 2,000. The retained earnings of its own makes it 5,600. So we have 5,600 total of the East for the East 101 entity. So this is how my equity pickup rules method works. Now this was a simple case of consolidation where we have direct investment. Now we will see the another rule of consolidation where we do not have the direct investment, but we also have some indirect investments. Let's check that rule. So we have this is my case 2. Okay, so now let's first understand the ownership structure. This accounts and amount are merely the same. So what happens in this ownership structure? A is holding B 100% ownership. Also, A is holding 30% ownership in C, and B is holding 60% ownership in C. So we can say that though A is holding only 30% in C, that means by looking at the prima facie, we can say that C is not the subsidiary of A. But indirect way, we can say that A is holding 90% of the shares in C through B. So this is how a step consolidation is done. So let's see its ownership structure also, how I have defined it. Let's go to dimension and have the look how it is done, how we will perform this step consolidation, and how we will create the hierarchy for this particular method. So this is total geography, and the total geography I have, this is my console entity 1, okay, under which I have legal entity 1. Okay, let's change this. I have not changed this, so for the better understanding, legal entity 1, and this is legal entity 2. Okay, and this is legal entity 1, and this is legal entity 3, 30%, and this is legal entity 2 and legal entity 3. Now it will be more clear. Legal entity 2 and legal entity 3. Okay. Now let's look at the hierarchy of this particular situation. So this is my legal entity 1, this is the holding. This is my legal entity 1, which holds in legal entity 2 100%. And then I have created one more console entity 2, which has legal entity 2 and legal entity 3. Because for this particular case, legal entity 2 and legal entity 3 holds 60%, right? So for this particular case, legal entity 2 will be the holding entity, and we need to perform the console for this particular entity also. So that is why this type of hierarchy is created. And again, legal entity 1 also holds 30% in legal entity 3. So I have created legal entity 3 a shared member also, right? So we will perform the consolidation for we will perform 2 times. First for legal entity 2, because in this case scenario, legal entity 2 will be the holding, and for this particular scenario, legal entity 2 will be holding, and for this particular scenario, legal entity 1 will be holding. So we will be performing consolidation rule 2 times, and this is how the hierarchy is created. When we have this step consolidation, we create one shared member. So I have also created one legal entity 3 as shared member. Okay, now let's look at the entity ownership structure also. This was the hierarchy. So we can see that. Let's see how we have defined. This is console entity 1, this is legal entity 1, so it would be ownership percentage would be 100, and consolidation method would be holding. Okay, now this is one particular hierarchy, right? So we are as we have seen that prerequisite of equity pickup, that only at the only in one hierarchy only one entity should be holding. So this is particular one hierarchy. If we This is one hierarchy and we are holding one entity as holding, right? Now for this particular second hierarchy, legal entity 2 will be holding and legal entity 3 legal entity 2 holds 60% in legal entity 3. So we have defined that relationship here. Legal entity 2 will be holding and legal entity 3 will be subsidiary. Now for shared member, it has 30% shares. This particular case, we have defined 30% and its consolidation method is equity. Obviously because its percentage is below 50. Okay, so I've already defined this particular this ownership structure. So let's input the figures now. So I've already created the smart view. Same all accounts and POVs are taken. Only the entity has changed. Let's quickly go through the POVs. Consolidation as entity input. This is my entity. Product will be no product. Multi-gap as local gap. Then scenario is actual. Data source as data input. Then intercompany as no intercompany. Entity currency as entity currency. Scenario as periodic. Sorry, view as periodic. Year as 15 and period as January. So let's input the figures. So we have figures of 5,000, 3,000, 2,000. So let's input it. I've taken simple figures for understanding. 2,000. Okay. 5,000, 3,000, 2,000. Now we will submit it. Let's submit this data. Our data got submitted. Now we will perform the ownership structure and then consolidation rule. So let's go to our application. Let's save these changes. And then let's recompute it. Successful. Okay. Now let's go to consolidation. Now first here we will perform the consolidation for legal entity 2. Why? Because all the adjustments made at the legal entity 2 being a holding company will be used in subsequent consolidation with legal entity 1. Right? So first we will perform the consolidation for legal entity 2. Let's take the entity from the member selection. This is legal entity console entity 2 and this is legal entity 2. This is my holding for this particular case. So I will perform the consolidation first for this case. Then my period is January, scenario is actual, year 15, and then I will click on launch. Okay, let's check whether rule has been run or not. Application. Jobs. That is completed. Similarly, we will run the rule of consolidation for legal entity 1 also. Consolidate. Now here we will select legal entity 1. That is, we are performing the consolidation 2 times. Because we have indirect investment also, so rest will remain same. Period will be Jan, scenario will be actual 15, and then we will click on launch. Let's check whether consolidation has been run successfully or not. That is run successfully. So let's check for the result. So this is the result which I have got. This is the 5,000, 3,000, 2,000, the figures that I have input, right? This 4,800 and 1,200 we are getting as the equity pickup. So let's see how we have calculated this. What is the calculation? How we are getting these figures? So under sheet 1, this is for entity 2. So we can see that. Oh, I think my data did not got saved. So entity legal entity 10102, legal entity 2 is having 60% investment in legal entity C, legal entity 3. So that means 60% of 2,000, that is the 1,200 we are getting. This is the 1200 we are getting, right? And for 4800, how we will get the 4800? Legal entity 1 holds 100% in legal entity 2. So we will take the 3000 as it is, 100%, right? And also legal entity 1 directly holds legal entity C at the 90%. So we will take 90% of 2000. So that makes the amount as 3000 plus 90% of 2000 as 4800. So we got the figure as 4800 under the equity picker. So this is how we calculate the equity picker. We reevaluate the ownership at the periodically from the time we made the investments in the subsidiary. Thank you. This was for today. For any queries, please reach out us at www.bispsolutions.com.